Hello, everyone. This is Simon with AvaTrade. Happy Sunday. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. Welcome back to our webinar, and we are starting. So, for the new people, of course, the special welcoming and a few words about the webinar. What we do here is creating a plan, and that's the whole idea that's reflected in the title, Weekly Trading Plan. And we're trying to organize ourselves for the upcoming week. We'll talk a little bit about fundamentals. We'll go through economic calendar, and then we'll look at the chart and try to see what's happening in certain markets. And as traders like to say, you plan your trade and then you trade your plan. And of course, there's no guarantees in results, but definitely things are better when they're organized, as opposed to just randomly doing things, especially in trading. Few things about myself. This is me, Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. My overall experience is now 23 years since I started to trade on Wall Street. I did it for about 11 years as a prop trader. And I don't know if you know much about a prop trader. It's super stressful, super exciting, of course. And then I moved on to less stressful way of trading, and I started to mentor and educate other traders. And currently, I'm very happy to have an opportunity to work with customers at AvaTrade. The agenda of the webinar, as I said, we go through indices, stocks, commodities, Forex, and try to make sense of what's happening. Risk warning, you can find the full statement at avatrade.com. What we do here basically is purely educational. We do not suggest trades, of course. And these are the channels that I highly recommend for you to follow. We have Telegram, Twitter, and my favorite YouTube channel. And the reason it's my favorite, there's a lot of information there, a lot of tutorials, educational material. And of course, the webinars, including this one, are being posted. And I would like to ask you, if you are watching this on YouTube, please write your comments. Please put your likes. Feel free to share with your friends and people that you think might benefit from this. That would be great. And of course, any feedback is welcome. Please write the comments. Okay, so before we go into economic calendar, just few things about last week and the highlights. There were two highlights as we discussed in the previous webinar. That was the FOMC minutes and NFP. So FOMC minutes are continued as was expected, the hawkish mood of the Feds. They are looking to increase the rates. Also, they revealed that in their last decision on putting the increase on hold, some of the members were not really happy with it. They were hoping or looking into continuing the increases. So that's actually even added more into the hawkish mood of the Feds. So we are expecting another increase on the 26th of July. And I just want to show you something really quick. This is the Fed Watch on CME futures website, and as of now there's a 93% probability that it will be an increase in interest rate, and again that's on 26th of July, so it's a huge percentage there. Pretty much analysts considering it already priced into the markets. So let's see how market react to it. So that's FOMC minutes. Then NFPs came on Friday, and after the ADP reports, traders were pretty much expecting the worst, and it was a surprise that the less jobs were added. So we had 209,000 added in this report, as opposed to I think 225 estimate. So it's looking that the job market is cooling a little bit, which was initially a good thing for the market. We'll take a look at the actions when we get to the trading platform, but we still reversed. The market reversed in the second half of the day in the U.S. and we closed lower. We'll take a look and announce the numbers. So pressure continues, even though some analysts are saying that based on the very strong half a year that we had, as we discussed last time, there's a probability the market statistically is moving higher in the second half. So as always, there are two camps. One are bullish, the other one is bearish, and that's the beauty of this game, that we don't really know exactly what's going to happen because there are two powers trying to push the market in separate directions. Okay, let's go into economic calendar. And again, just few words for new people about economic calendar. Some people ignore it. Some people think it's important. I think it's important to know that certain things are coming out in a certain time, so you wouldn't be caught by surprise in your trade or about to get a trade or whatever the situation might be. And here I take out the high impact events. There are more of them. You can find economic calendar with all the details on our web trader or the app or any third party provider. This is public information. There are no secrets. They report the same thing. What I have here is the time in GMT, and high impact events only are filtered out. So let's go through them really quick. Monday, we have CPI numbers from China. We have Governor of Bank of England speaking as well. Tuesday, we have employment from UK and CPI numbers from Germany. Wednesday, we have some decisions here. We have Bank of New Zealand. They are reporting the decision on the interest rate and the monetary policy statement. That's going to be on Wednesday. Governor of Bank of Australia speaking right after. We have important, this is probably the most important data of the week. We have the CPI numbers from US. And again, just to repeat, especially for new people, market's been really focused on Fed's action or inaction as far as the interest rate. So three major aspects that the Feds are taking into consideration. That's the inflation, the growth of economy, and employment. That's why we just had NFP, and now the next aspect that the Feds are watching, that's the CPI numbers. And that's why I mentioned this is probably the most important event for the, especially for US market this week. So I have CPI numbers coming on Wednesday. Then we have the interest rate decision from Canada. Also, definitely we'll be watching the Canadian dollar this week. And another two runs of important data. We have a PPI number on Thursday from US and the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index as well on Friday. So these are the events as far as the economic calendar. Again, you can filter them through. You can see what's important or relevant to your trading and prepare yourself for that. Okay, so we're going to move now to the MT4 platform. And we'll start with indices. As I mentioned, when the NFP numbers came out, the market initially or briefly reacted in a positive way. Then it actually decided to go higher. Let's just take 5-minute chart so we'll just see what's happening. This was the announcement. So initial gap, as the numbers were surprisingly low, as I said, traders, after watching or seeing the ADP reports, they were really preparing for the higher numbers than expected. And the moment everybody saw 209,000 added as opposed to 225 predicted, initially we moved higher. Then I guess they see the other data, which one of the data showed actually that hourly wages were up 0.4% higher than the last month, 0.3. So I think that spooked the traders. So we went down, and then we were zigzagging for a while until we started a strong move to the upside. I'll just bring the 30-minute chart. We moved to the upside, and then around 5 p.m. GMT time, we found the top, and then the sell-off got really intense, and we came right back where we started. So these were the dynamics of NFPs. And again, for new people, it's important if you are trading to watch what's happening with the market during the major announcements, especially like interest rate decision, NFP numbers, and others. So you could see how volatility increases. So you prepare yourself. Some people like that volatility. Others like to stay away till things come down. So it's important that you see and try to understand what's happening. So overall, the day was negative for the indices. We have Dow Jones was the weakest one. Let's take a quick look at it. Dow Jones was the weakest one. It lost 0.6%. S&Ps 0.3%, and Nasdaq remained the strongest. It lost only 0.1%. So for the week, we have Dow Jones had lost 2% for the week, and both S&P and Nasdaq lost 1% for the week. So as you could see here, we are the last 3 days were down. And also something to mention, some traders use this strategy Thursday, Friday, and I mentioned it many times already. Again, it doesn't mean that it works all the time, but some traders like it when in this case Friday closed lower than Thursday, so they are expecting Monday continuation in the same direction. Or if it was the other way around, if we closed higher than the Thursday, then we would move higher. So something to pay attention. As you could see on weekly charts, we are still holding up, especially Nasdaq is very strong. And the whole idea of the strong Nasdaq or technical stocks was still focusing on AI. And it looks like this mood is continuing. S&Ps, we had a negative week, as we said, and Dow Jones actually went back into the channel. As you could see here, we made a lower low here from August of last year. This is the weekly chart. And then we were really playing with this level around 34,215. And we're back below that level. So it doesn't look that great for Dow Jones. So as we said, out of 3 US indices, Dow Jones is the weakest as of now. Now let's take a look at other indices. We'll start with China, as there's a big focus on China, as you know or don't know. The Treasury Secretary Yellen, she is traveling to China, trying to soften things up. I really don't know why they sent her, the Treasury Secretary, not somebody else. I guess she has international experience. I'm not really sure why they sent her. Anyway, she's there now discussing a few issues, and let's see if she comes back with any results. As you know, there's a lot of wars going on between U.S. and China, and that includes the technology. The last thing we saw that President Biden is not allowing any AI chips being shipped to China. And what China did, they cut U.S. from crucial commodities that are being used in those chips, and other things, other issues. Of course, the question of Taiwan and other issues that has been very tight between China and U.S. So let's see what happens there. So on China, we actually had the green day, but I think Monday we might see continuation to the downside because Asia closes before the U.S., so it might be influenced by the U.S. sell-off at the end of the day. Now, Nikkei has been selling this past week, and we'll take a look when we get to Forex. Yen, it looks like finally it's gaining some strength, and that's, of course, not so great for Nikkei. So we'll be watching continuation. On European indices, let's take a quick look at them. We have DAX bouncing a little bit on Friday. We have FTSE UK 100, the UK index has been really in a downtrend. As you could see, we keep on making lower lows, lower highs. Let's take a look at the weekly chart if we're getting closer to any levels. So we are below 150 moving averages on the weekly chart. We could be on the way to retest the 200 moving average. Let's see if that happens. So that's as far as Europeans. And let's see how Monday opens. How the public will digest all the news, NFPs of course, and let's see how market will act and operate on Monday. So we established that equities, since the FOMC minutes and especially NFPs, the market finished the week in a negative territory. Okay, let's move to stocks, and I just want to bring Tesla. Let's go through the major stocks, and pretty much there's no brainer. The index is down. Most of the stocks are finished in red as well. Apple, I just want to mention Apple. As you know, Apple is the first company hitting the $3 trillion market cap. The stock is strong. We just made highs, and I think it's an indication as being a strong stock. If the market continues higher, the strongest stocks tend to run with it first, and I guess that's what we'll be watching, and also be watching a general kind of a mood of the market. If Apple remains strong or it starts selling, and that's also an indication of direction of the market. If you take Microsoft, we are also holding strength here. Amazon actually had a green day on Friday, and a few pharmaceutical stocks that caught my attention. Take a look. We spoke about Pfizer. It's been selling for some reason, and we just broke this week. We broke to the previous resistance here. So Pfizer continues going lower. Let's see on the weekly chart. We could be on the way of retesting around $33 area. I didn't really find fundamentals to support that, but technically speaking, after the gap, we are continuing. So there's a heavy selling in Pfizer. Johnson & Johnson, we spoke about the stock, how we actually spoke about it for potential move higher, which did happen. Then we had a double top here, and we are selling and currently sitting on a 100 moving average. So let's see if this level holds, or we might actually see a sell-off similar to Pfizer. And if we are breaking this 100 moving average here, we might be coming and retesting the bottom here. Now, on the positive note, Teva, as we mentioned, we spoke about Teva, if you remember. It's a pharmaceutical company that's specializing in generic medicine. Take a look. We spoke and we said that Teva's been fluctuating between $7 and $11 back and forth. So when it was around 7, we said that it could be a potential move to the upside. And take a look. We did move 740, 750, had a nice consolidation here. And the past 2 days, even on the selling market, we really moved higher. So Thursday was a strong day for Teva. Friday continued, and we did close about the 50 moving average. So there is a potential of continuation of this move. We'll be watching that this week as well. Now, ExxonMobil. The stock has been weak, as you could see here. As you could see here, we refused or rejected the 200 moving average, and we sold with the gap, and we're sitting on this support on the daily chart. This is, you can consider as a triple bottom. We bounce from here, we bounce from here, we retested again 101.66 area around here, and let's see if it holds again. So that's on Exxon, and fundamentally, the stock is reacting negatively to the prices of natural gas falling again, and we'll get there when we get to commodities. So something to pay attention, and also it's kind of catching up with Chevron. Chevron's been weak. If you take a look at the weekly chart, after the recent sell-off, we actually staying at the bottom of this move, and Exxon also catching up with it. So the downside pressure on ExxonMobil, and it's connected to the prices of natural gas. Okay, and the last group of stocks we'll take a quick look at is banking sector. You have JP Morgan having a negative week. On the daily chart, there's a lot of choppy trading there. Citigroup is selling. Bank of America weak. Goldman has been weak. A lot of pressure, and I think partially, I think it's the upcoming interest rate. It's not so positive for banks as well. As you know, there was a huge complaint from the banks, huge issues, including some banks getting out of business, and partially it was due to the high interest rate. So we're coming with another hike in the interest rate. So this is the banking sector, and interestingly or funny enough, this week we have, in general, we are opening the earnings season, and one of the first stocks or companies reporting, that Citigroup and JP Morgan, they will be reporting this coming Friday morning before the market. So definitely we'll be watching that. Okay, moving on. Moving on, commodities. Natural gas. It had a red week. Let's take a look. After continuing, or after trying to break out of this range, we are getting back below 260. So every attempt on natural gas to move higher, as you could see here, back in March, followed with a sell-off. And take a look. It was a big hope here for traders. We gapped and we reached the level the following day. That was on the 26th of June of 293. So it was a big hope that we're going higher, and we're back below 260. And if we are continuing again, the same scenario might be hitting 233. And if we break that, we're going to test lower territories. So as I said, even the ExxonMobil reacted to this sell-off in natural gas. So definitely we'll be watching that. This week, or at least the last few days, were pretty good for crude oil. Crude oil bounced, as we said, around $67, $68. It's been a support. Every time it's getting there, it's bouncing. So on the daily charts, you could see here, we just broke above 100 moving average. We are on the way, probably retesting 75 and getting closer to 200 moving average here. So we did try that back in the beginning of June, a month ago, and then we came back to the support, and we're trying it again. So let's see what crude oil is doing. Gold has been consolidating here in the tight range. We are holding to the 200 moving average here. So let's see if it continues. Again, it reacted positively to NFPs. It moved higher, and of course, it reacted positively to the sell-off in US dollar. We're gonna get there when we get to commodities. To FX market. And let's take a quick look at softies. They've been having a lot of party lately, a lot of extended moves, especially on corn. Take a look. Corn sold out really, really strong with the gap, and now we're trying to consolidate here. So let's see where it takes us. If you take a look at the weekly chart, we're up below all the moving averages. We're up below the previous support here at 497.25. as you could see. And we are consolidating, as I said. In order for it to bounce back, we need to bring it back above 497 and a quarter and start building support. And if not, anything can happen. We might slide lower from here. Soybeans are the strongest out of three: wheat, corn, and soybeans. But even soybeans start selling with the 3 consecutive selling days on soybeans. Let's see where it takes us this week. And wheat is holding this level here around 648. We had a bounce on Wednesday, and the next days, or Thursday and Friday, we sold, but we are holding the 100 moving average here. So let's see what softies are doing. And the last one from the commodity group, I want to bring the cocoa. If you remember, we mentioned this level, 3,394. That's the level from 2014 September, almost 9 years ago. And we actually hit this level this past week. We closed briefly above, and then we sold. So it looks like that resistance is standing, and we might see actually after this first red week in a long time. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight weeks with a huge move to the upside. The first red week, it might be followed with continuation to the downside. So that's as far as commodities. Let's move to Forex, and we start with dollar index, of course. As you could see here, it was a strong sell-off on Friday. And the line that I draw here, 101.65, that's where the previous sell-off stopped, and that was on 15th of June. And the low here was, as you could see, 101.675. Let's see. Yeah, 101.675. Let's correct this. $6.75. Okay, so one scenario, we might actually continue falling to that level and then see if we're holding that support as we did before, or we might see the traders coming to the rescue of the dollar. Let's see what happens there. Now, the major currencies, of course, went up against the dollar. We had a nice move in all of them. That's Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Of course, euro had a nice move to the upside. Here we go. Very strong Friday. As you could see here, pound is in a very interesting territory here. As you could see, we're challenging the previous recent high, and that was on June 11. We reached 128.47. We're very close to that level, and we also closed to, this is the weekly chart, so we close to the 200-week moving average. Let's see how we act when we get there. And ZAR, so you could see USD ZAR was on the way breaking 19 until the weakness came on Friday, so we sold a little bit. Now, a pair that I spoke about last week, fundamentally speaking, something that was kind of an interesting, it worked very nicely. If you remember, I mentioned to you the issue with the Prime Minister of Hungary as he's opposing the economic help to Ukraine. And last time he did it, he was threatened by European Union that they might cut off the financial help or financial aid to Hungary. So now he starts again, and I mentioned to you last week that we might see weakness in Hungarian forint, and it was a very nice scenario here. So you could see this week we moved, the range of this week was 340.67 and the high 357.37. It was a nice move to the upside, and the last day was sold, of course, as the weakness came to the US dollar. So we definitely will continue watching this pair for possible continuation if the dollar regains this strength. Now, Japanese yen finally shows some signs of strength. Of course, In this pair, it's due to the weakness of a dollar, as you might say, right? So it's sold, and as you could see here, we are having a strong sell-off on the weekly basis, and you might connect it to a dollar, but the first idea comes to mind. Just take a look at other pairs with Japanese yen, and guess what? There was a strong sell-off in all of them. So it looks like yen is gaining something. Uh, as you know, historically, if you traded long enough, the Bank of Japan, they have tendency of surprising. Sometimes they affected or try to affect the yen by certain interventions. So as you know, the only central bank, as we discuss on a weekly basis, that they haven't done anything in increasing the interest rate. So the yen's been weak, and that's also what helped the Nikkei, the Japanese index, to grow. But now we see some strength coming back to yen. Of course, it's a US dollar related, possibly, but maybe something is building up, or something, as they say, is cooking in Bank of Japan. Take a look. Some of the pairs are really selling against the yen heavily. So let's see how this week will continue for the yen. But as of now, it looks strong, and especially this pair, as we mentioned last week, the CHF JPY. If you remember, we spoke about the level at 159.88, the level from December 1979. So this week, I'm going to bring it back again. I don't know why it disappeared from me. If I'm not mistaken, that was 159.88. And that's the level that we hit a resistance in December 1979, 44 years ago. So we did break through that level. If you remember, I mentioned it. And then slowly we came close to it, and we closed below. So now we really need to watch this pair. And if we start building resistance below this level, 159.88, we might see that sell-off. And again, if we break above it and start building support, we might continue going higher. But as you could see here, it was a super intense move to the upside that started somewhere in 2019, and we just kept on going higher with some minor corrections. So it could be a nice potential move to the downside if yen finally regains some serious strength. Okay, so that's as far as Forex market, and let's take a quick look at Bitcoin. And as you know, there was a lot of excitement. We hit 31,000 last week, and we are sitting in these levels. We're sitting around 30,000. We had this huge tail on the 6th, and it closed at the lows. So it is kind of a pressure on the Bitcoin. Of course, a lot of holders of the coin would love to see it running. It looks like we are tight here between 30,000 and 31,000. Let's see which way we're going to move from here. Okay, so let's put it all together and kind of summarize things. So last week we had NFPs. Market initially jumped to the upside, but then it sold. The mood of the Feds remained the same. We have about 93% probability that on the 26th of this month, we'll see another interest rate hike of 0.25%. We have earnings season starting. Friday, we have some banks reporting. We have pressure on the indices and equities. We had a sell-off on the dollar, getting closer to support around here. And we have this week inflation numbers that are very important for the Feds in their decision making. And let's see how this week plays. Again, I'd like to encourage you to use our channels. Please subscribe to the channel, especially the YouTube channel. Write your comments, give us your feedback, subscribe, hit the bell, get the updates. I want to wish everyone a great weekend, the remaining of it, and get some energy, get some power, prepare yourself for the upcoming week. And of course, I want to wish everyone a successful and positive week. All the best.